back to Hong Kong Review 2024. It's been 5 years since the 2019 anti-extradition bill protests unfolded. In 2024, the court heard and delivered judgments on multiple high-profile national
病住講 project， 但係仲要準備阿仔生日會。
感冒來襲，怕錯失重要時刻。必理痛特強傷風感冒丸，極速擊退傷風感冒症狀，中午眼瞓，幫助極速回復理想狀態。
Multiple high-profile national security cases in connection with the movement. At the beginning of the year, the city's local security legislation, Article 23 of the Basic Law, was also enacted. 26 years after the city's handover, the government rebooted the legislation of Article 23 of the Basic Law after a failed bid to pass it in 2003. The homegrown law on safeguarding national security criminalizes 5 types of offenses that were not covered under the Beijing-drafted Hong Kong national security law. They include treason, espionage, and theft of state secrets. The public consultation period lasted 30 days. Some said regular criticisms of the government won't amount to incitement as Hong Kong has freedom of speech. Others said they were worried about saying the wrong things now. The government has stressed that Article 23 attaches importance to the protection of human rights and freedoms. Chief Executive John Lee said nearly 90% of consultation participants backed the legislation. The government also set up a special response and rebuttal team to address misinformation and smears against the law.
The drafting of the bill have made reference to
Okay.
the relevant law on most foreign jurisdictions, with, of course, its own unique characteristic.
I declare the motion passed. Safeguarding National Security Bill.
On March 19th, all 89 lawmakers present voted in favor of the Article 23 bill, marking a unanimous passage of the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance. Turbocharging the deliberations, it took 12 days for the Legislative Council to scrutinize the Article 23 bill. The city leaders said the law's passage had marked a historic moment that Hong Kong had been waiting for 26 years. In December, the city leader undertook his duty visit to Beijing. President Xi Jinping said Beijing recognized the work of Zhao Li and the SAR government while praising the legislation of Article 23. The Safeguarding National Security Ordinance also tightens the threshold for remission of sentences for prisoners involved in national security offenses. Ma Chun-man, who was convicted of inciting secession, was sentenced to 5 years behind bars. He was expecting an early release for good conduct in jail, but was denied remission of his sentence under Article 23, which took effect on March 23rd, 2 days before his supposed release. Ma applied for judicial review. It was rejected by the High Court. On May 28th, the police's National Security Department invoked the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance for the first time to arrest 6 people. They include pro-democracy activist Chow Heng-tong, the former vice chairperson of the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China that organized annual vigils to commemorate the Tiananmen incident in 1989. They were apprehended on suspicion of taking advantage of a certain sensitive day that was approaching on social media platforms to continue publishing posts with seditious intent. On Christmas Eve, the government invoked the Ordinance for Safeguarding National Security, classifying 7 national security-related suspects on the police's wanted list as absconders. They include former lawmakers Ted Hui and Dennis Kwok, as well as Elmer Yun. The police's National Security Department also announced 6 more wanted individuals currently overseas. A bounty of $1 million is placed on each of them. They include former artist Joseph Tay, former independence group leader Chu Hong Lam, and Chung Kin-wah, formerly a pollster at the Hong Kong Opinion Research Institute. Around mid-2024, the British police charged 3 people under the national security law. They were suspected of assisting Hong Kong authorities to gather intelligence in the UK. One of the British men died after being arrested. Another man arrested works at the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in London. He denied the charges. In response, the Hong Kong government urged the UK to handle the case fairly, adding that the Trade Office will work to help British people understand Hong Kong's economic and trade opportunities. In 2024, courts had heard and handed out judgments over multiple national security-related cases. 14 people related to the radical opposition group Dragon Slayer Brigade were charged. Police officers during a rally in 2019. The landmark trial also marked the first time that the city invoked the United Nations Anti-Terrorism Measures Ordinance. All defendants who pleaded not guilty were cleared of the terrorism charges by jurors. One defendant was found guilty of the alternative charge of conspiracy to cause explosion with intent to endanger life or property. The man, alongside others who pleaded guilty to the charges, were given prison terms ranging from 1.5 years to 23 years and 10 months. 2024 also saw the verdict of another landmark security case, the Hong Kong 47. 47 pro-democracy activists and former lawmakers were charged with conspiracy to subvert state power and participated in pro-democracy primary elections deemed to be unlawful. The defense stressed the primary polls were not illegal and it was the statutory power of the Legislative Council to veto the budget. However, the judge held that their goal of indiscriminately vetoing the budget by securing a majority of seats at the Legislative Council through the primary is illegal. Former HKU legal scholar Benny Tai, who spearheaded the campaign, pleaded guilty. His prison sentence was reduced by 1/3 to 10 years. Au Nak Hin, Chiu Ka-yin, and Then Chong, who helped organize the primary election, served as accomplice witnesses and testified against their peers. The judge described their evidence as useful. The trio received reduced sentences of 6 years and 7 years and 3 months. Among the defendants who took part in the primary, 27 pleaded guilty and were sentenced to 4 years and 2 months to 5 years and 7 months imprisonment. Li Yueshun and Lawrence Lau pleaded not guilty and were acquitted. The other 14 were convicted and sentenced to 6.5 years and 7 years and 9 months behind bars.
How do you feel?
It's nearly 4 years actually already, so I suppose, maybe it's not too much longer, but it's been a long time already.
The Department of Justice will appeal against Lawrence Lau's acquittal verdict. At least 13 other defendants also filed appeal over their convictions and sentences. In the 2019 721 Yuen Long incident, 7 people, including former lawmaker Lam Chap-Tain, were convicted of rioting. His sentence will be handed down in February 2025. Lam said he reached the scene to mediate the conflict. The judges did not accept that, saying they believe he intended to fan the flame for political gains. Online news platform Stand News. The media outlet was accused of conspiracy to publish seditious materials. The defense said that 17 articles were alleged to bear seditious intent, which only reflected the community's opinions. Notwithstanding that, the court ruled that 11 of the articles had no factual basis and bore seditious intent. The court also held that chief editor of Stand News Chong Hu-kun and acting chief editor Patrick Lam Shu-tong must be aware that publications were seditious. Chong was sentenced to 21 months in prison and Lam was commuted to immediate release for health reasons. This has marked the first case since 1952 that the media has been convicted of sedition. The Hong Kong Journalists Association, alongside a number of international organizations, has condemned the conviction for undermining. Following the case, the student leader said journalists must act in good faith and provide accurate and reliable information in accordance with the principles of responsible journalism. Also facing the national security trial was Nix Digital and Apple Daily's founder Jimmy Lai. 5 accomplice witnesses took the stand in 2024. Former senior executives Chen King-kong, Chen Wu-man, and Yuan Chen-ki testified against their former boss, saying Apple Daily's editorial policy had followed Lai's instructions. Lai meanwhile said he did not set limits for the editorial coverage of Apple Daily, but he admitted he had contacted overseas politicians to rally international support. Lai's case is still under trial. In 2023, the High Court refused to issue an injunction to ban the dissemination of protest song Glory to Hong Kong. The Department of Justice appealed in May 2024 and was granted an interim injunction. The tune can still be found on multiple online platforms. Upwards of 6,000 people who have been arrested in connection with the 2019 anti-extradition movement have not been charged. But in 2024, authorities clarified that they cannot promise to withdraw the prosecution proceedings. In October, Senator for Security Chris Tang said, if people broke the law, they shall be arrested. In late 2023, the Legislative Council passed a bill to reform the Governing Council of the Chinese University of Hong Kong with more outside members introduced to the Council's membership. That was followed by the resignation of CUHK's Vice Chancellor Rocky Tuan in early 2024. He was succeeded by Dennis Low, Associate Dean of the Faculty of Medicine at CUHK. Governance woes plagued the University of Hong Kong as well. The conflict arose between HKU President and Vice Chancellor Zhang Xiang and the institution's Governing Council on the appointments of Vice Presidents. The government later set up a task force to look into the internal row of HKU. 6 council members whose terms of office expired at the end of 2024 were not renewed. The government has also passed a bill to overhaul the Social Workers Registration Board. Members are required to take an oath of allegiance to the SAR. The number of government-appointed members is expanded from 8 to 17. 7 of 8 elected members resigned in May. They include then Chairman Yuk Mei. The only elected member that remained and took the oath was former Vice Chairman of Demosisto Oscar Lai. 3 months after the board's reform, the Social Workers Registration Bureau published a report stating that 8 social workers involved in cases related to the anti-extradition movement had their licenses suspended.
3、2、1。我宣布，国家安全展览厅正式开幕。
The National Security Exhibition Gallery opened in August 2024. The gallery occupies over 1,100 square meters of the Museum of History in Saskatchewan. The government has required all civil servants to visit the exhibition at least once. Chief Executive Zhang Li said maintaining national security is a continuing process and it will not end. He added it is the SAR government's responsibility and the duty of all Chinese nationals, including Hong Kong residents.